The lunar nodes are not physical bodies. They are symbolic reference points. They are formed where the moon's orbit around the Earth intersects with the Earth's orbit around the Sun. One of these points is closer to the North Pole and is called the North Node. The other lies closer to the South Pole and is known as the South Node. Some astrologers consider the lunar nodes secondary. Others see them as absolutely central. In fact, if you had very limited time to explain a person's life direction, understanding only the lunar nodes could already be deeply revealing, because the nodes describe a fundamental axis of development, where we come from and where we are being drawn to grow.
Working with the lunar nodes is a complex and non-linear process. It requires a kind of mental flexibility, almost like mental gymnastics. For example, when the lunar nodes fall across Aries and Libra, a person may find themselves oscillating between two extremes, at times behaving in an overly Libran way, and at other times expressing exaggerated Aries traits. This repetition is not random, it is part of the learning process. Because of this, one must live with an ongoing awareness of this axis. In daily life, it becomes important to observe which side of the axis is being expressed more strongly in a given moment, and whether this expression is conscious or automatic. Since neither lunar node is inherently good or bad, the goal is not to reject one side in favor of the other, but to move between them with awareness, knowing what one is doing, where, and why. Astronomically, the lunar nodes always move retrograde from Earth's perspective. They can be calculated in two ways, as the true node or the mean node. Approximately every 18.5 to 19 years, the lunar nodes return to their original positions, completing a full nodal cycle. At the end of this cycle, a new phase of life begins. If the themes symbolized by the lunar nodes have not been consciously worked through during this period, the individual may find themselves repeating the same patterns, entering a kind of karmic loop. However, if these themes have been integrated, the next cycle begins at a higher level of awareness. The lunar nodes change signs approximately every 19 months. When interpreting them, it is essential to consider not only the sign they occupy, but also the ruler of that sign and how it functions in the natal chart. This approach should be applied to both the North Node and the South Node. Psychologically, the North Node sign describes the kind of inner development the person is moving toward, the qualities that need to be cultivated. The house placement shows the life area in which this development is meant to occur. For example, if the North Node is placed in the 7th house, growth occurs through relationships, cooperation, and supporting the identity of others. If this North Node is in Cancer, the task involves emotional engagement, taking responsibility for emotional needs, and creating nurturing bonds. In the 7th house, this means learning to support and respond to the emotional world of others. Through this process, the person gradually becomes someone who can access, express, and live their own emotions more freely. Although we may conceptually say that the South Node represents the past and the North Node the future, or even label one as negative and the other as positive for simplicity, in reality, both are essential parts of a single developmental axis. The South Node represents what is already mastered. The North Node represents what must now be learned. When the North Node is in Aries, or the 1st house, and the South Node is in Libra, or the 7th house, the individual is asked to consciously develop healthy Aries qualities, while becoming aware of the shadow patterns of Libra that feel familiar and comfortable. This person is naturally skilled at sharing life with others. They know how to support people, adapt to others' wishes, and cultivate harmony in relationships. Their greatest fear is often being alone, living a life without a partner or without someone with whom they can share life in depth and intimacy. Because of this fear, the individual may cling to relationships even when those relationships prevent them from discovering what they personally want. At some point in life, however, they are required to experience a period of aloneness, not as punishment, but as a necessary phase of self-discovery. Only by learning who they are, what they want, and how they act independently can they later form a truly balanced partnership. A healthy relationship can only emerge once personal boundaries are clearly defined and embodied. If a partnership is entered before this inner definition is completed, the other person easily becomes the emotional center of the individual's world. In such relationships, peace and fulfillment are difficult to sustain. With the South Node in Libra, or the 7th house, there can be a strong fixation on justice, fairness, and equality in relationships. The person may become overly preoccupied with whether things are fair, keeping mental accounts of giving and receiving. Because they are accustomed to defining themselves through relationships, they may struggle to make independent plans. Instead of acting spontaneously, they consult partners or friends, even when the impulse is purely personal. However, what is required is the courage to act alone, to initiate, to move immediately when something feels right. These individuals must learn to create lives and routines that are distinctly their own. When the first 7th house axis is activated through the lunar nodes, anger often becomes a central issue. With the South Node in the 7th house, unexpressed desires and unmet needs can turn into suppressed anger. At first, this anger is buried in the name of harmony. Later, it may erupt suddenly, often directed toward the closest friends or partners. In summary, the qualities that need to be developed through Aries and the 1st house include courage, independence, discovering personal desire, spontaneity, learning how to fight the right battles, leading rather than waiting, and extending a hand to only those who are willing to walk alongside. The Aries qualities that must be released or rebalanced include an obsession with external harmony, fixation on social approval or trends, preoccupation with justice and fairness, keeping score in relationships, surface-level politeness, evaluating oneself through others' eyes, emotional demandfulness, and seeking harmony at any cost. When the North Node is in Libra, or the 7th house, and the South Node is in Aries, or the 1st house, the individual is asked to consciously develop healthy Libra qualities while becoming aware of the shadow expressions of Aries that feel familiar and instinctive. With the South Node in Aries, or the 1st house, the person carries a strong habit of acting impulsively, initiating without reflection, and asserting the self without considering others. There can be a tendency to prioritize personal desires, to act quickly, and to focus primarily on me rather than we. However, the presence of the North Node in Libra, or the 7th house, indicates that fulfillment in this lifetime comes through balance, cooperation, and relationship. The person is meant to learn how to listen to others, to recognize the needs and perspectives of another human being, to collaborate, to share, and to support without expecting immediate return. In truth, individuals with the South Node in Aries are often very skilled at being themselves. They have already mastered independence, initiative, and self-definition. This is precisely why, in their current life path, they have the potential to become excellent partners. The difficulty arises not from incapacity, but from fear. A fear of losing oneself. A fear that choosing the wrong partner will result in the loss of freedom. A fear that commitment will erase individuality. Thoughts such as, if I enter a partnership, I won't be myself anymore, or if I depend on someone, I will lose my autonomy, can create resistance to sharing life with others. Because of this fear, the individual may cling to excessive self-focus, mistaking independence for isolation and autonomy for emotional distance. The qualities that need to be developed through Libra and the 7th house include cooperation, diplomacy, mediation, learning the desires and needs of the other, supporting another person without calculation, giving without immediate expectation, reconciling opposites, and building true partnership. The Aries traits that need to be softened or released include egocentrism, lack of awareness of others, assuming everyone functions the same way as oneself, anger outbursts, viewing life as a battlefield, acting without aim, impatience, and impulsiveness. When these polarities are consciously balanced, the individual does not lose themselves in relationship. Instead, they become more fully themselves through connection.
When the North Node is in Taurus, or the 2nd house, and the South Node is in Scorpio, or the 8th house, the individual is asked to consciously develop healthy Taurus qualities while becoming aware of the shadow expressions of Scorpio that feel familiar and instinctive. With the South Node in Scorpio, or the 8th house, there is a tendency to live with a constant awareness of impermanence, loss, and crisis. The individual may unconsciously create intense emotional situations, seeking transformation through destruction, breakdown, or emotional extremes. Life can feel meaningful only when it is dramatic, risky, or psychologically intense. However, the North Node in Taurus teaches that true growth comes not through crisis, but through stability, continuity, and building something that lasts. This life path requires learning how to create solid structures, sustainable relationships, and a sense of inner and outer security, without needing to tear everything down first. Because the individual is deeply accustomed to relying on others' resources, emotional or material, there may be a strong attachment to dependency patterns. Yet Taurus insists on self-sufficiency. In Taurus, fulfillment comes from standing on one's own feet. This sign says, "My money, my values, my resources." True security cannot be outsourced to another person. Even if this person were married to the wealthiest individual in the world, they would still need to work, to produce, and to earn their own living in order to feel genuinely fulfilled. The Taurus qualities that must be developed include recognizing one's own value, protecting what is truly important, enjoying life through the 5 senses, cultivating gratitude, trusting the nourishing power of nature, understanding that enough already exists, developing talents and skills, producing tangible results, giving form to ideas, and building something solid and lasting. The Scorpio qualities that need to be released include obsession with crisis, compulsive intensity, forcing transformation on others, resentment, jealousy, revenge, and extreme emotional reactions, as if constantly opening Pandora's box. When this axis is balanced, the individual learns that depth does not require destruction, and transformation does not require loss. Sometimes growth simply comes from staying, building, and appreciating what already is.
In this video, we explored the core logic of the lunar nodes and their fundamental meanings. The lunar nodes are not a subject that can be fully understood in a single video, which is why this series is structured in 3 parts. In the next video, we will continue with the remaining nodal axes and examine their deeper psychological and life path implications. If you don't want to miss the next part, make sure to subscribe to the channel. Where are your lunar nodes placed by sign and house? Feel free to share in the comments.